Hi, everybody. So I thought I'd do a lesson here. I get a lot of questions asking how you say certain things, like how you can share what you're doing with other people. So I decided to create this lesson here for you, and I decided to focus on working. If you have started to learn the Navajo language now, you probably will see that they fall into like a chart. The verbs and a lot of the words that you will use in sentences will fall into like a chart setup, meaning that you will use the verb for terms for a singular person, like one person, and then you have verbs that fall for dual, two individuals. And then the last one is plural, three or more, no, which it depends which verb you're using. But I always, as new learners, people that are starting to learn the language, I always try to just focus on the singular terms for first person. So you start to use it for yourself and you're talking to someone, and the third person. So if this is new to you, this is a chart setup, and first person is always going to be you, she, you, myself, she. Second person is the person you're talking to, ne, the second person. Third person is going to be be, the third person. In this particular example, I'm using the present term for working. I'm not saying just work in general. I'm using the verb working. So the singular person for the term for the singular person is noshnish. Noshnish. Somebody were to ask you in English, where are you? What are you doing? I'm working. I'm working. It's like you're actually doing the job. I'm working. You're not saying I'm at work. You're saying I'm working. So it's noshnish. Noshnish. Second term is you telling second person. Me telling someone that I'm interacting with, I will say nanilnish. Nanilnish. Working. You're working. And then third person is someone that's not, they don't have to be in physical close proximity. They don't have to be near you. They could be somewhere else. You're talking about your family or your sister that lives somewhere else. You're saying he or she is working. Nal nish, nal nish, nosh nish, nanil nish, nal nish. Pay attention to the word here where this has the NIL, nanilnish, nanilnish. The last one is long, nalnish, nalnish. So I'm not including your dual terms here, the verbs or the plurals, because sometimes it gets a little confusing when you're trying to learn a language and you get all these verbs coming from different directions. Fluent speakers will usually know all these terms. Notice that I'm talking about present terms, like the present term. I'm not talking about I worked or I'm going to work. I'm talking about right now, I'm working. So the keywords that I'm going to be using here that might be new to you, and I included those verbs that I had up there, is nal nish, I am working. Nanil nish, you are working. Nal nish, he or she is working. And dj, dj means today. Dj means today. And then da, da. Don't think of this as a kinship term, because if you're a fluent speaker and you heard the word da, you automatically think of a kinship term, which means like your nephew or your uncle from a male's point of view. In this case, we're using da to say, so you're working. So you're going to work. So that's what you're actually using, da. And you'll notice that in the sentences when I share that. And then when you say شِحْيَاتِ means I enjoy doing this. I like this. I like doing this. And you're going to notice how I use it in the sample sentences and the examples. شجاع means my father. شجاع. قد means, oops, I'm sorry. قد means now. Now. قد. So you could actually use that term, like say you're going to go somewhere, you're leaving to go leave the house, and then someone says, when are you going? You'll say قد now. I'm leaving right now, but you're just going to say قد now, right now. Okay. And then the last two are suffix terms. They're suffix terms that you add. So this one, go, you add it to a verb to kind of indicate that you put the emphasis that while I'm doing this, while I'm doing this. So for example, I'm using noshnish as your verb today, noshnish. If I added that go, this go to noshnish, I'll be saying, while I'm working is what you're saying. Arohoyati, this last one is ish. The suffix term ish, when you add that ish to a word, it turns into a question. You can do this with any word, even if it's a noun or an object, any word that you have, you just add that ish to the word. So if I wanted to do the Navajo and the English partnering here, if I said phone, I shouldn't be saying this because phone is bish, but if I said phone-ish, you're saying the phone. For example, car, car-ish, the car, motel-ish. But in this case, for Navajo, to stay on the same growth here of learning Navajo, if I put noshnishish, I mean, if you question, am I working? That's what you could say. Well, you can actually add that ish to this right here. Nanilnishish, nanilnishish. So you just still add the ish to the end because the ending word, the consonant is the ending part of that word, the sh. So you just add the ish. Nanilnishish. Are you working? Is what you're saying. Now down here, a point to remember is if the word ends with a vowel, it lengthens that vowel. You don't turn into an ish. You could, it still will make sense. For example, shema. Shema means my mom. But if I add the my mom, if I wanted to say you mean my mom, then I'll say shamash, shajash. Okay? So those are your key words to learn today. Noshnish, nanilnish, nalnish, dj, da, shishyaat e, shijaa, at, go, and ish. Okay. So the sentences to learn. When I teach my classes, I usually break this up. And it takes a little bit of time to go over this because we will review the keywords and use them into turn them into simple sentences. We will use a little bit of that kind of lesson and kind of go do a little bit of dialogue. But what I'm giving you here is something that you can try to learn on your own. Notice that I put this in red, first person, to refer back to this that you're talking about first person, second person, a tatligodot ish. Aro third person, a yagodot ish. Those are the colors, so learn your colors. I'll do a video on that one too. So here's the first sentence for first person. You're talking about yourself only in all three sentences that I give you right here. And I did include the translation. I am working today. I am working today. I'm adding That dij, today, noshnish. Dij, noshnish. I am working today. Navajo language is sometimes structured differently, where you have the subject, object, and the verb. Sometimes it doesn't make sense when you're trying to translate verbatim and then actual words, because our language is very descriptive that it makes it hard to even just to make that simple interpretation, or terminologies are different. So be aware that some of the terms will fall. Like for this example, dijinashnish, today I am working. So I could move this around if I wanted to, but I'm saying I am working today. Today I'm working. It makes sense both ways. Dijinashnish. Okay? You're in a conversation with your mom or your grandma, Niche Namasana, and they called you on the phone and you say, Dijinashnish, today I'm working. Okay? Also, you're going to use Shishyaat. I enjoy working. You're not saying I enjoy my job. You're saying I enjoy working. Remember that verb. It's working. You're actually working. Okay? It's not the job. The job term is different. Similar, but it's different. So in this case, we're saying I enjoy working. Remember, I said to add the go. While I'm doing this is what you're doing. You're saying. So you're going to say Nashnishko Shishyate. Nashnishko Shishyate. I enjoy working. Okay? The last one is I am working right now. Ad nashnish. Ad nashnish. I am working now. Those are the three sentences you can use for first person for yourself. DJ nashnish. Nashnishko shishyaate ad nashnish. Okay? That's first person. Remember that. Second person is the person you're talking to. So say I have a friend that's sitting here. My friend and I are talking. So, okay, so for this one, I could use this when I'm on the phone with her. That DJ nananish. Remember, I'm using the second term for the verb right here, nananish. You are working. I'm talking to the person. So in this case, I will say that. So I'm saying so. You're working today. That DJ nananish. It doesn't have to be your friend. It could be talking to your mom, your sister. That DJ nananish. You're on the phone, and they'll say, "Oh, yes, I'm working today." Okay. If somebody asked you that question, they're talking from first person to second person. They will ask that DJ nananish. Your answer is going to be DJ nashnish. Oh, DJ nashnish. Okay? All right. So I like to kind of elaborate a little bit more of how you can use these sentences and switch them out to work for you in your own dialogue with somebody that you're learning the language with or you're talking to. Okay? Okay, so the second sentence I have here is I'm talking to, oops, I'm sorry, I did not translate this. So I'm talking to my friend now. Nananishkosh nishyate. Do you enjoy working? Do you enjoy working? Nananishkosh nishyate. And they'll say, oh, yes, daga, no, hola, I don't know. So their response could be different, okay? Just like up here, notice that this shish, adenish, in Navajo, the same understanding, if you get that understanding ahead of time, that most of the terms fall into these categories of the chart. First person, second person, third person. So that shih falls in the same way of saying, so I'm going to put this underneath. So shih means shihyate, I enjoy doing this. That shih is a term where the shih is the prefix. This is the prefix. We want to say second person. Nish yate. You enjoy doing this. Third person. Bih yate. So the shi ne bih is a very general chart that we use when we teach Navajo language. Shi ne bih. It's a term. The prefix is used for possessive terms. I can say shi ne bih. For anything, I can add to say shichide, my car, nichide, your car, bichide, his car. For this phrase, shihyate, all you're changing is that first shih, nith, bith. Okay? So going back down to this one, I'm using me talking to you. I'm still using the second person verb. Nanilnishgosh nishyate. I have to stick with that second person. Okay? Do you enjoy working? Now I'm going to say, are you working right now? Adish nanilnish. Adish nanilnish. Remember, ad means now. When I add that ish, it turns into a question. Now you're working is what you're saying. Are you working now? That's what you say. Dat DJ nanilnish. Nanilnish gosh nilyaat e. Adish nanilnish. Third person. Remember, I said third person, somebody that doesn't have to be in the same room as you, but you're talking about somebody. They don't have to be in the room. They could be in the room, but you're not directly talking to them. You're talking to second person about that person. Okay? So in this case, we're going to talk about shaja'a. Shaja'a DJ nalnish. My dad is working today. Today, my dad is working. Shaja'a DJ nalnish. Okay? My dad enjoys working. Shaja'a nalnishko. Bishyat. Shaja'a nalnishko. Bishyat. Remember? Shish, nish, bish. I'm using the third person. Shi, ni, bih. I'm using that third person term now. Bish. Okay? Is my dad working right now? Say I'm talking to my mom on the phone. Shijashk adnalnish. Shijashk adnalnish. Is dad working right now? Okay? Shijati janalnish. Shijanalnish ko bihyaat. Shijashk adnalnish. These are basic phrases that you can actually start to use today. You can start utilizing some of these terms. You can shift them around to learn the different kind of phrases you can actually add to it as you're learning the key words here, the key words, and using the present term for working. Noshnish, nanilnish, nalnish. And using these sentence structures. So as a lesson, you can start to do a little bit of dialogue or come up with some terms to add in there if you want to. So this is like a really basic lesson that I'm going to share with you today. You're more than welcome to email me if you have questions, or you're more than welcome to, well, my email that you can actually email me at is learnnavajo with Gina at I'm using the Navajo, the Times Roman font, but I will switch it back. Learn Navajo with Gina at gmail.com. Or you can visit my website at www.ginaandjohnson.com. Okay, I hope you learned something today. I can have going at